Alright, it's been a while since I put out a video. I've had a lot of requests for a bluegill pattern, and that's what we're going to do for you today. This is what we're going to do, and this is a color pattern I came up with pretty soon after I started painting. And it's caught a lot of fish, and I've had a lot of requests for a video on how to do this. A lot easier than you think. And I'm also going to show you a new stencil that I've acquired to make the stripes. That'll look a little more realistic than just using a comb method. So I have the lure blank here, and I've already done the white base coat. We do that on a lot of our baits. And first thing I'm going to work on now is the bottom half of the bait. I'm going to start with a wicked golden yellow, and as I go along I will tell you what colors I'm using, but these videos aren't intended for you guys just to copy, but to give you the foundation of some techniques to use so you can experiment with some styles and techniques of your own. So I hope this will motivate you to create rather than copy. But alright, so we're going to do a little bit of golden yellow, and we're going to do the golden yellow on just the bottom half of the bait. Whoops. And people always ask me what airbrush are you using, what compressor. I'm using an Iwata Eclipse HPCS, and the compressor is California Air Tools Ultra Quiet with a 1.6 gallon tank. So let's just get the bottom of the bait covered. Nice even strokes. I'm going to try to do this without getting my hand in the camera view. I've been known to do that. Oops. Alright. There we go. Now the line between the yellow and then our lime green color later doesn't have to be exact. Remember, you know, nothing's really exact in nature, so let's make it look as natural as possible. I try to make things look natural. That's kind of my goal. Alright, so after each color layer, we all know we're going to heat set with a hairdryer. I'm not going to bore you with that, so we'll move on to the next color. Okay, we're going to continue with working on the belly, and one of the ways I can achieve some realism is by layering colors. Instead of just using one or two colors, sometimes I use, you know, up to 3 colors layered on top of each other, thinned out a little bit, almost semi-transparent, so you could see the layer underneath, and the colors kind of blend together, giving you a natural look. Next color we're going to do on the belly is I have Comart paint. What I like about Comart paint is it's pretty much ready right out of the bottle. It's thin enough to spray right into your airbrush. So this is opaque Darryl Orange, and I'm going to hit just the belly here, and I'm going to go turn my pressure down a little bit, I think about 15 psi or so, and just lightly so these colors blend together. Hopefully you can see this. Barely pulling the trigger back to get the paint to come out. So it's a very light spray. There we go. Not too bad. Okay, and now we'll heat set that, and we'll go on to the next color. Okay, we're going to add a little more detail on the belly section. What I did is I added some Indian red from Comart. I did change the name of this color to red oxide, so this is the last of the Indian red. What I did is I took a loofah, kind of like a washing sponge that a lot of women use, and wrapped around the bait. You can, you know, hold the loofah with these alligator clips, but I only have to do a quick spray, so I'm going to hold it tight to the lure body, and we're going to spray just a little bit on the belly, lightly. Again, a small amount goes a long way, and we'll get that detail in there. Hopefully you can see that. Just ever so lightly so all the colors blend together. You don't have to go all the way to the back of the bait, but I do a little bit off the sides so people could see the detail. Okay, should be able to see that. And alright, so I'm going to heat set that, and then I'll take the mask off and I'll show you the results. Okay, now we're going to start working on the top portion of the body. This is where we start getting our green shades in. So we're going to go with a Crankbait Pearlized Lime Green. I don't use a lot of Crankbait paints because I think they're a little too thick, and I don't want to have to thin out paint every time I want to use it, but they do have a few really good colors, and this is one of my favorite I've had since basically day one for the last 3.5 years. So let's just get some green on here. Get pressure down, and just do the top part of the bait. If it overlaps the yellow, no big deal. All right, we kind of want colors to blend together. Again, you don't need much paint. There you are, there's your green. I'm going to heat set that, we'll move on to the next color. Okay, we're going to continue with layering the green colors on the back. Again, these colors that I'm using, I came up with just by experimenting. I'm not saying you have to buy these exact colors or exact shades, whatever works for you. A bluegill may be, may look differently in your region where you live. So again, maybe, just experiment, but this is, again, just a video to kind of give you the foundation on how we paint these baits. And so experiment with colors and some techniques on your own. So let me just show you the belly there. There's the scale pattern that we did. And now I'm going to come in with another com art color called opaque chrome green. And again, I'm just going to come in really light on the back over this pearlized lime green. Again, we layer the paints to give you to build up that realism and the depth. A little clogging of the brush here. Hopefully you can see that. Oh, splattered a little bit, but alright. Get a little more green on the back. Just a little bit, not too much because I have one more color of green to go in there. Alright, we're going to heat set that, and we'll continue with our next color. Okay, what I did here is took that loofah material again that I used for masking and wrapped it around the bait and used the alligator clips here to secure it firmly to the body. You gotta make sure these alligator clips aren't too tight to the body, you don't want it to scratch. So now I have some Wicked colors by Crankbait. It's called Detail Moss Green, and with these Wicked colors, detail means thinner, almost like a transparent type color. But if you have, say, just Crankbait colors and they're all pretty thick and they're all opaque, you go, gosh, how do I make it transparent? Thin out your paint with some reducer like I have here, and just a drop or two and mix it up, and you can thin out your paint, and the more you thin it, the more transparent it's going to be. So we're going to hit the top of the body here, a little bit of this moss green, so we can get the scale effect. And we're not going to go real deep with this green because we're going to darken it up here in a bit with some black. But so let's just go just lightly, barely pulling the trigger back, darken up that green. Now you're starting to see some realism coming in here, and some depth with 3 layers of green. Starting to really come together. Okay, so I'm going to take the scale mask off after I heat set it. I'll do it right now. I know it's a little noisy. it this way you could see what I'm looking at. There you go. There's the scale pattern. And actually, once you clear coat, that pattern should pop a little bit more. Now, the way I originally did this blue gill is I kept the scale pattern on. I used a comb like this and made stripes. But I like things look more natural, so I found a guy in Australia that makes his own stencils, and they're fantastic. And he has different styles. So, for instance, this one's made just for the S crank, but here is some like tiger stripes. He's got stencils here for like a smallmouth bass pattern. Hope you can see that. And another good one too is for crappie. Great stencils. I mean, they're on the higher end, so you're going to pay for the quality, and they fit perfectly around the bait, and they work great. So we're gonna do that now. Oops, let me get the right stencils here. So we're gonna do these tiger stripes, and what's great about these stencils is he gives you these little clips to secure them too. The name of the company is Lure Color Studios, and color is spelled almost European, but it's C-O-L-O-U-R, lurecolorstudio.com, and they have a great YouTube channel, and check them out too. You can see how he utilizes a lot of these stencils, and it makes some great lure patterns also. So this is how they fit on. Just snap them right in there. Okay, and then I'll put the other side on. I mean, they fit like a glove, look at that. And then these little tiny clips he supplied. Okay, so we got the stencil on the bait, and I mean, it's going to give you a great result. But it takes a little bit of a learning curve here. Again, we want things to look natural, so I don't do a heavy color of black on these stripes. I'm going to go real light. I want a little darker on the top and have it kind of fade towards the bottom. And the way I do that is I'm just going to tilt the bait a little bit towards me so I get most of the paint on the top and have the overspray end up on the bottom. And I'm going to go very light. And because these stencils fit so well, if I don't have enough paint, or I don't like the result because I didn't have enough paint, I can put the stencil right back on and not worry about having that double imaging problem. Now, I've only used this stencil a couple times, so again, there's a learning curve involved, and hopefully I'll do okay, but just a little bit of black. A little goes a long way. Okay, there's one side. Let's flip that around. And let's get the other side. And kind of tilt it towards me so you get most of the black on the top, a little bit overspray towards the bottom. Okay, I'm going to heat set that. I'll just keep the camera running. It's going to be a little noisy here for a minute. Alright, let's take the stencil apart. Come on. Oh, perfect. And this is the result you're going to get. Now, I know the back looks a little funny, but we're not done yet. But that is just a great stencil pattern. Way better than using a comb. So, if you want to spend a few extra bucks and get these stencils and end up with a more natural looking, higher end, lure, I think it's worth it. Completely worth it. I have 3 sets, and I plan on getting more. Alright, now let's use the black. Again, this is the Wicked black, And let's darken up the back, and as you darken up the back, it's going to darken up that green. So you're not going to see just black, you're going to more of a dark green. So you're kind of laying another color. See how it's starting to darken up nice? Alright, so the green darkened up. Now I'm going to put a little more black right on the spine. Just darken that up. And then on the nose, a little bit around the eyes. Look at that. I think I'm going to keep this one. Okay. Now when I paint, I try to be as efficient as possible, not having to do too many color changes. So while I'm at it, I want to do the gill mark. And I made a stencil myself for that, and I'll show you how we do it. Okay, so I just got some stencil material, and I drew out a gill plate pattern, and something pretty basic, and I have it cut just for this lure, where you can see where it's going to go right in there for the bill. I'm going to line it up. How do we do this? Here we go. I had it backwards. There we go. We'll spray in here a little bit. Not too much, you don't want that paint to run underneath the stencil. And there you go. Let's heat set that. And we'll continue with the other side. Okay, there's one feature that I just started adding to my baits to get a little more, again, realism and detail, is a fin. And again, I took that stencil material like this and I cut out a fin pattern. And all I did was lower my pressure, thin the paint a little bit, and paint just the outline of this stencil. And I'm not painting right on the bait, I'm painting more on the stencil, so that overspray gets into the stencil and gives me the outline of the bait. Or, I'm sorry, outline of the fin. And also what I did is I took the crown off the airbrush so I can get a little bit closer. But you got to be careful not to bend that needle. That crown's really there to protect your needle. So let me position this here. Hopefully you can see this without my hands getting in the way, but I just lay it flat against the bait. Make sure you got paint, and I'm going to paint mostly on the stencil, not so much on the bait. Whoops, well, I think I kind of botched that a little bit, but you'll get the idea. Went a little dark. That's not what I intended, but you know what? I think it's going to work. So now I'll do the same thing to the other side. I'll have to make it as close to that one as possible so it doesn't look goofy. I just wipe the stencil off, flip it over, and there's another fin. Okay. Again, just adds a little bit more realism. It's optional. It's not something you have to do. Okay. For bluegill, I do want to get some blue in here, but if I do blue over that green or yellow or orange, it's going to look really odd. So I'm going to get some white in here. Again, I made a stencil just so I can stay within the boundaries of the gill. Put white in here. There you go. And I'm going to do the other side. Okay, last but not least, let me just show you the white around the gill, a little bit on the throat, and also on the tail here, just to kind of give a little bit of contrast. But again, you can't call it a bluegill without blue gills, right? So again, here's my stencil. I got some Comart Cobalt Blue. Lower my pressure down, and I don't want a lot of blue, just a hint. You see it coming in here. That's it, just a little bit of blue. And I'll do it on the other side as well. Sometimes a little goes a long way. You don't need a lot of blue. And there you go. There's our bluegill. That is it. can see the difference between the scale, not scales, but the stripes. More natural. And this one is just using a comb. So really the only thing left is get some eyes in there and clear coat. I've done that in my other videos. I'm not going to bore you with that in this video. So there is your bluegill pattern. If you have any questions, again, feel free to email me, mike@luremeandcrankbaits.com. And also, if you need the name of the website to get these stencils, you can email me, or go to lurecolorstudio.com, and the color is spelled C-O-L-O-U-R, studio.com. And he has a variety of other products besides stencils, paints. I believe he's got maybe some airbrushes, but I'm not 100% sure. But check him out. And shipping is usually pretty quick, especially from Australia. It's not as bad as you think. So thank you for watching, and if you haven't already, please subscribe.